Hey YouTube, got another knife review for you today. This is an extreme budget folder. It is the SWAT tactical folder Tanto. Alright, and this video I'm also going to talk a little bit about budget blades. Alright, first. Alright, now this blade, this cost me $6.50. Now don't worry. Don't worry, I do have reviews upcoming of more, more snobby, overpriced stuff, okay? So don't panic if you were waiting for an Emerson review, I have those and I'll continue to do those. But I just wanted to address the point of budget blades, right? And I thought this would be a very good way to start that conversation, because this is an excellent folder for the money. All right, let me just go through the features of this folder. All right, this is made, first of all, this is made by Super Knife. All right, it's a Chinese company. And now, hold on, focus. Now don't worry. At the end of this video, I am going to show you some more expensive knives that can do the same thing. All right, so, don't panic. Alright, now the opening facility on this knife, it's very interesting because it looks like a flipper, but it's not. It's actually pretty much functions just like the button on a switchblade or automatic. You don't have to flip your wrist at all. You just push that down and it opens. It's a liner lock mechanism. See that there? And the one I got locks up very securely. It has no blade play and no problems locking up. I say that because with cheaper knives, there's a lot of variation in the quality control. Like if you bought one of these, there's a chance you'd have to tinker a lot with it, and that's just part of the deal with cheaper knives. Alright, now you see the pocket clip there. There it is, right side tip down carry, and it is reversible. Alright, now the handle on this, very interesting. This is stainless steel. It's not even aluminum. It's solid stainless steel. You see there's a lanyard hole there. It has a glassbreaker pommel. Right, now the blade itself, it is a combo edge. It is two-tone. Right, partial flat grind. And notice how far down the sub-tip is. By moving that sub-tip down, it just makes the Americanized Tanto tip just all the more pointed, right, and penetrative. I mean, it's just, this thing was made to stab, pretty much. And I mean, it's amazing how sturdy this thing is for the price. Now the weight on this was listed as 12 ounces. It doesn't really feel that heavy to me. I don't know, maybe it is well balanced. It just feels solid. I mean, I don't, the reason that I don't usually weigh the knives here is just because, honestly, you need to go by how it feels in your hand, okay, or how it feels carried in your pocket, okay. If you just go by a number, you're disregarding the balance, you're disregarding the mass and the volume compared to the weight, all right. But with a cheap knife, I mean, I like all the sturdy I can get, because that's the whole problem with cheap knives. Most of them you couldn't use them. They'd break if you had to use it. It would break at the pivot. But this knife, it's extremely solid. All right, and this knife also did come with a little kind of paracord lanyard attached. I removed it because I don't put lanyards on my smaller knives. I only put them on hawks and machetes. Alright, now I will include the full name of the knife and the place that I purchased it in the text box. But the point of this video is not really, oh, go buy this knife. The point is that when you assess a knife, you need to look at its specific features. You can't just say, oh, this knife is $200, so it's the most deadly knife in the world, and oh, that knife looks cheap, I don't think it could hurt me. No, trust me, this could definitely do some damage. Alright, and let's just compare it to some other knives that could accomplish similar things. This is my well-known CRKT Hissatsu. All right, and you know I definitely like this knife a lot. All right, and here, Benchmade Nitrous Stryker Tanto. All right, you see that there. And my Hogue Tanto. Alright, hold on, let me arrange these all pretty like. Alright, here you see all the 4 knives. Now, these knives have one thing in common, you know, aside from the Tanto tip designs. They would all excel at thrusting. You know, the Hogue knife is a bit wide, but it would still do its job. Now, you know, what's the main difference between all these knives? Well, if you're a knife collector, the difference is a whole lot of money. You know, this knife, $6.50. This knife, I believe it's around $50 or $60 now. This knife cost me about $110. This knife will run you about $150. All right. You know, but what's the difference if you were on the other end of one of these knives? There is none. Okay. You know, this will sink into a person just as well. The most expensive one, you know, this could attack someone just as effectively as the little cheap one. All right, and you know, I'm as snobby as any other collector, but I don't lose touch with reality. Stuff like this, you know, I always said there's 2 kinds of junk with knives. There's junk and there's deadly junk. This is deadly junk, and you need to recognize it. And you know, if you were, I should say, you know, let's say I could go back in time about, you know, 18 years to when I was in college. You know, obviously I was in college. I didn't have no job, you know, and I couldn't afford, you know, this. This is the type of thing that I would have carried, you know. People use excuses. Oh, you know, oh, I'm paying for my school, I'm paying for this, I can't afford an Emerson. Well, you know what? You still need to take personal responsibility for your safety and the safety of those around you, you know, your wife, your friends. If you can't afford an Emerson, you need to use your brain and find something that would function. All right? This, I have no doubt that this would function and function well. It's so solid, it could smash and bash, and you know, that tip, if you know what you're doing, it'll work just as well as those. This is a 440 stainless steel, and you know, these are all made of better steels. You know, you have D2, and this one is 154 cm, and you know, a good steel is important if you're going out in the woods and going to you know, chop up wood all day and build a cabin and all kinds of stuff. You're going to need it to retain its edge. For a defensive folder, it ain't going to matter whatsoever. Alright, YouTube, well, I hope you enjoyed this review and this little discussion. You know, I'm not saying to use a cheap knife. If you're going off to war, or if you're a police officer or something like that, you know, if your life really depends on it, then by all means, you know, buy the most high quality firearm and backup knife that you can afford. Alright? But, you know, very few people out there are really in that situation. And people always ask, well, what can I do? You know, what can I get? There's plenty of stuff out there. And I'm not saying to buy this particular knife. I will include a link, but you know, stuff like this comes and goes. Within a year or two, you know, you probably won't even be able to find this anymore. But if you understand the principles of how to pick a good budget knife, I'm sure you can find other things. You know, basically you want super sturdy construction, you want a design that can do what you need it to do, alright, and good deployment. Alright, this has all three. I would not feel underarmed with this. Alright, YouTube, stay tuned for many more videos. I'm out of here.